Hey friends, welcome back to Premo Cooks. Today we're going to make a delicious, yummy, creamy, coconutty shrimp edamame risotto. And it's really fun, great date night dish. What we want to do first to get this dish going is we're going to make an infused soup stock, also called a DASHI broth. And so what that entails is we're going to take some soup stock I have homemade. Perfect. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of bonito flakes, 1 to 2 inches of kombu seaweed. And then normally what I do for this recipe is I would use shrimp tails from the shrimp that we're going to add later. I would take the tails off, put those in here, and simmer the shrimp tails, which would infuse it with a little more shrimp flavor. But during these COVID times, my delivery service that brought me shrimp brought shrimp without tails on them. So we're just going to go without the shrimp tails. We're going to do it anyways. And what I'm going to do in place of that is add a few shakes of fish sauce to add some extra seafood flavor. Fish sauce. I'm going to do 3 shakes. This stuff is quite potent, so you don't need a lot. Now what we're going to do is put it on the simmer burner, bring it to a boil. Ooh, I got the right burner this time. Look at me go. And then we'll reduce it to a simmer with a lid on it, but first I'm going to wait until it comes to a boil. But during that time, I'm going to move over to the cutting board, and we're going to prep the few pieces of produce that we have that we're going to add in at the end of this dish. So let's go over here. So we have some lime. I'm going to zest one and I'm going to wedge one. For zesting, I'm going to use my microplane. What you're going for is to get the green layer off the top, but you don't want to go too deeply into the white part or it becomes bitter. All right, we'll call that good. And now I'm going to wedge this lime. And then I'm going to mince the parsley. When mincing herbs, if you keep going back and rolling it into a ball before it's small and chopped up, it makes it easier to keep getting a fine dice on there. Push it back together, chop at different angles, push it back together. All right, so we have our parsley, our lime zest, our lime wedges, and now all of our produce prep is done. Booyah. All right, y'all, we have a boiling DASHI broth, and now what we want to do is put it down to a simmer. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes, and then what I want to do is put a lid on it, ba-bam, because if I leave the lid off, then it's going to evaporate quite a bit of liquid, and I'm going to need all of that liquid for the risotto process. So pop a lid on, set a timer for 20 minutes, and then once we come back and have our broth ready, we're going to strain it off and start the process of making our risotto. All right, our 20-minute timer has gone off, so I'm going to turn the heat off on this DASHI broth, remove the lid, and now what I'm going to do, I want to keep this warm, but I want to strain off the kombu and the bonito flakes and the shrimp tails if they were in there. So I have another tiny pot over here that I will strain this into without making a mess, hopefully. Multiple messes. A little too fast there at the end. I've cleaned up my mess. Let's continue. So, DASHI broth over here. In this pot, I have 2 tablespoons of coconut oil that I've already melted. So I'm going to turn this burner on to medium heat. It's nice and melty in there, so I'm going to add in my arborio rice. And then I have a 1/4 cup of toasted coconut. What we want to do now is I'm going to turn the heat up to medium-high, and we're going to continually stir this until the rice looks translucent around the edges, which is kind of hard to tell because of the coconut that's in there. But what you're going for is to toast it a little bit in the coconut oil, get some of that coconut flavor in there. This part can just be fast forwarded. All right, so we're getting close. When you start hearing popping, that's also a sign that we're getting to the point that we want. So what we're gonna be doing next is we're gonna be taking a ladle full of our DASHI broth, adding it in, stirring it, and then I'm gonna also turn the heat down to medium. And as we're stirring, we're gonna be waiting for it to absorb the moisture before we add more. So it's not like when you make rice and you just add 1 cup rice, 2 cups liquid, let it cook. We're gonna be adding it slowly and stirring it the whole time so that it becomes a very creamy texture. All right, so I'm gonna move my dashi broth to this burner. I'm gonna turn the heat on, if I can figure out which dial will do that for me, and put it on low heat. I just wanna keep it warm. So I have my ladle ready. I'm gonna try to do this left-handed. Let's see how this goes. Turning it to low because that was far too hot when I added that in, and it's already absorbed most of that ladle full, so I'm gonna do another one. And another. So that was my 3rd ladle. As you continue on, we're gonna keep doing this until our rice is cooked through. So this will take about 20 to 25 minutes. But as it absorbs the liquid and you add more, eventually it's gonna get to the point where it's absorbing the liquid more slowly than it was at the very beginning. So you'll just keep stirring, watching, waiting. It's a labor of love. Have a cocktail or a glass of wine with you to keep you company. Put on a good record. This is one of my favorite things, not specifically risotto. I love making risotto, but just being present with the food that you're making. Put some love into it. Watch it, smell it.
Twist it, pull it, pop it.
Be thoughtful. I'm gonna add another ladle. So you know already that last ladle, it's absorbing far more slowly than the previous. So if you can see, this is the point when there's not a lot of liquid left, so you're gonna add more dashi broth. All right, folks, we're down to the end of our stock. I'm gonna add this last bit in. You can also, if you're curious to see if you're doing this at home, at this point, you can give it a little taste and see. Yeah, that rice is nice and cooked through and creamy in texture. So I'm gonna turn the heat down even lower, add in my coconut milk, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon white pepper, and then we're gonna leave this on a low heat to continue to cook. But with coconut milk specifically, I don't want it to be simmering too hard or boiling, or it causes it to become slimy, for lack of a better word. So you wanna add coconut milk in at the end and let it be on a low heat to absorb. So we'll let that do its thing, and what we wanna do next is cook off the shrimp and edamame. So I'm gonna take this away and get myself a pan to do that. All right, so I'm gonna turn the heat on for my big pan. Oops, I did the wrong burner as always. And then I wanna melt 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. We'll call that 2. So my coconut oil is melted over here. And that's a generous amount of coconut oil, and part of the reason for adding a little extra to cook these in is once we dump this entire pot in here, it's again more coconut flavor for our coconutty shrimp edamame. So I'm gonna put this in here. Edamame, mari, 1 tablespoon, and that was 1 cup of edamame, 1 tablespoon mirin, the zest of a lime. Just stirring it in initially just to combine all of those things, but then I'm just gonna let it sit for a minute or 2 and let the shrimp cook on each side. I'm also gonna stir my risotto. I'm gonna flip all of the shrimp now to check on them. Shrimp cook really fast, and I don't wanna overcook them because they're gonna get added into this hot pot and they'll continue to cook a little bit more. Just gonna flip these all over. Okay, now they're all flipped over. I'm gonna turn the heat off because they're gonna keep cooking. I'm gonna give this a stir, see how it's doing. Perfect, the consistency is right on point. If you haven't had risotto before, very creamy. It's not soupy, but it's definitely not rice that falls apart. It's sort of like eating that sticky Thai rice that they serve as desserts with lots of coconut milk in it. And then what I wanna do is just give this a taste really quickly. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna taste this. Delicious. That's really good. That's not even the best part yet. So now I'm gonna add in our shrimp and edamame that had the tamari mirin lime zest. Then I'm just gonna turn the heat up a little bit, let all these flavors combine, burn off any tiny bits of liquid that are left in there, and then we're gonna serve it and eat it. Oh, so much rice stuck in my teeth right now. Oh, I forgot the parsley. Do I fold that in? You always want to do your fresh herbs last anyways, so that they don't wilt too much. But this will add this extra pop of color so that it doesn't look as dull. There we go. Well, I made a mess already. Classic Danielle. Gonna serve it with a lime wedge. And another option is if you want to add a little extra toasted coconut on top, you are more than welcome to add a little more coconut flavor in there. Ta-da! Oh, really hot. Oh, really hot. It's so good, but it's really hot. Yummy risotto. Now let's talk about some things about risotto that you might be having questions about in this recipe. What is risotto?
Delicious.
If you don't know, it is a creamy rice dish, which you've seen, but it is of Italian origin. It is commonly made with arborio rice. So that is one key thing that you want to make sure that you have is the right kind of rice. And you can look it up. There's a couple other rices you can use, but arborio is the most conveniently available in most stores. And then you make it with that long process of stirring in a hot liquid to make it really creamy. Traditionally, it's made with butter. I used coconut oil and I didn't use Parmesan at the end, which is more traditional, just to have a dairy-free option for any of you that want to have one. And it's really tasty and it's a nice alternative, but you can completely use butter and add Parmesan and have another burst of flavor in there. Dashi broth I used, and I used that term a lot throughout this video. That is a Japanese broth that they make typically from water, kombu seaweed, and bonito flakes. It's a basis of a lot of Japanese dishes, but I took that concept and then added the shrimp tails in, or ideally you would add shrimp tails in to get the seafood flavor to add to the shrimp risotto to complement that shrimp flavor. Another question is, what are bonito flakes? They are dried, fermented, wispy fish flake, typically skipjack tuna. And you can find those at most grocery stores. They come in tiny little packets or in a big packet of little packets. And those, you can find them at grocery stores or Asian markets. And those add a nice savory seafood flavor as well that's pretty salty. Moving along, shrimp. So the shrimp that you want to choose, there's lots of different types of shrimp, and any large shrimp that has a tail on it, a pink or white shrimp that is uncooked, choose those. Find ones with tails on if you can, unlike I did. And if you can get deveined shrimp, that's also awesome because then you don't have to do that step yourself. Those are my brief tips and tricks about risotto. I know that this recipe has a lot of steps and there's some technique to it. So if you have any further questions, you can leave those in the comments below and I will be happy to respond. Good luck cooking. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy Premo Cooks and think I'm a total dork, then hit those buttons down below, the like and the subscribe, and share us with your friends. Thanks. Do you want to be famous?